Okay, last time we left off, we had created a status of funds by commodity for BQ. I went ahead and duplicated that same effort, but only in Deems, showing you here. The only difference is I added reimbursement annual, and it's because Deems reimbursements are their own specific fund category. They don't get rolled up into direct and reimbursement. Direct is direct, reimbursement is reimbursement, period, end of story. So I did add that one in there, and then labeled some of the titles differently up here. You can also just type in the name that you want up here, and it'll take the place of something that's like annual obligation authority, so on and so forth, something ridiculously long. The next thing we want to do is start splitting these out into different parts of your status of funds, so the different programs. So commodity, so there's a lot going on in something like base operating costs, commodity D, and then you also have commodity T within your base operating costs you have to consider. Also AT travel. See, this is my Deems status of funds. I'm not doing travel in Deems right now, but I do have some BPAC 521 authority and things going on in Deems. So I might want to take a look at specifically, let's say, AT or BPAC 521 and my base operating cost along with my travel ceiling. So I did that with Deems over here just to show you real quick, and I'll show you with the BQ data what the easiest way to do this is. So the first thing, you're going to just go ahead and hit this plus sign to add a new sheet, and it's going to add it right here. I'm going to click and drag it over here, and I'm giving these kind of long title, long-winded names. So in regular practice you can just shorten them however, but I'm just going to label it BQ, BOC, and AT. So the easiest way to do this is to select the pivot table, analyze, and then go to selection, entire pivot table. I'm going to hit Control C. You could also right click and hit copy. Come over to this tab and then right click and paste or Control V. So either one would work, so I'm going to hit Control V, and now I have that same pivot table in a different sheet. Go to View, turn off grid lines, make it a little neater. It's the same cache as what they call it in a pivot table, so there's just a snapshot of the data that's locked up in this pivot table, but it's much more compressed. Is it using a slightly different way of analyzing the data, so it's much more effective. So now what we want to do, instead of looking at the overall by commodity, what we can do is take the commodity and put it up into the filters area. Okay, so you see how it rolled it up there. I'm going to come back down and do my resource center now. So now this is giving me the same thing. If we looked at these bottom line numbers, they'd be the same, right? Well, that's not very helpful. It is kind of breaking it out by resource center, how we did the drop downs in the description tab, which you can see here. But it's not showing me my BOC and AT like I wanted. So what we want to do here is, in this filter, like in any other filter, select multiple items, unselect here, and let's start selecting what I do want to see. So I want to see my AT travel. Now I labeled AT travel programs, so programmatic resources that the program managers of the Bureau are telling me specifically, hey, this is for this type of BPAC 521 and that only, so I might not want to see that. It's really up to you. I do want to see AT travel for regularly scheduled drills enlisted, because that is a BPAC 521 expense now if they're going to be traveling in active duty. Clothing and subsistence I want to see, that's 521. I want to see my BOC, and then I want to see my BOCT. This is BQ, so all of my BOC travel is going to be in BQ still. So I've made all my selections, and I'm going to hit OK. It's going to filter all of that down for me. So immediately, what I'm seeing now are for my mill purse travel. These are my travel lines of accounting and what my units have spent. And these for O&M are my base operating costs, and for BOC for me, it's just what I've done is taken my travel ceiling and a few extra dollars and kept them in BQ. to prove this to you, I could always take the commodity and send it down here, and you can see where these are comprised of. But for myself, I know that that's what it is. I keep it up in filters. You could do it the other way. It's up to you, really. But that's the easiest way to go ahead and start manipulating these pivot reports, saving yourself the time and keep them in the same format. Create you another tab, highlight everything, go to Analyze and select all, copy and paste it into a brand new tab, and then just make those minor adjustments as you see fit. So that's all for this video, but in future videos we'll have some other examples, and we'll start breaking these out where we're doing SRM, ESP coded, and some of the better ways to potentially see that for yourselves. See you next time.